Okay, let's get started. Will people join? Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Antonio Diaz, and I'm thrilled to be moderating today's intergenerational dialogue titled A Decade of Youth Impact, celebrating SDSN Youth's journey. Today's event is especially meaningful as we approach International Youth Day and commemorate SDSN Youth 10 years anniversary. We gather to reflect on our legacy of youth-led change, share insights across generations, and explore how we can further amplify youth voices in SDG achievement. SDSN Youth began as a bold vision, one that sought to place youth at the heart of SDGs. And 10 years later, it's a global community, a platform of action, and a story still being written by each one of you. We are honored to be joined by exceptional speakers from our network, past and present, who have played key roles in shaping SDSN Youth. So let's briefly introduce them. We have, first of all, Dong Real Kang, the network manager at SDSN Korea. We have Ana Inestrilas, former lead of the Local Pathways Fellowship. We have Yanis Stamatonikolos, regional focal point for Europe. Last but not least, Amer Kagasmi, Mentorship Officer for the Local Pathways Fellowship. Now, without more introductions, let's begin with the reflection today. So let's start by looking back. What were the most significant outcomes of your experience with SDSN Youth, and how have they contributed to your career in SDGs? So, Anna, let's begin with you. What were the most significant outcomes of your experience with SDSN Youth?
Yes, absolutely. Well, for me, being part of SDSN Youth and leading the Local Pathways Fellowship for over 5 years definitely helped me grow a lot as a mentor, as a program builder, and a professional overall. But the biggest takeaway for me is the network of people that you get to connect with. I had the opportunity to connect with young urbanists from all over the world. And today I am very proud to be part of this network. I can say that I have contacts in over 100 countries that I can share ideas with, challenges, best practices that help all of us and the communities that we work with move faster and smarter towards the SDGs. I also know that I can tap into this network of talent for future projects, as most of our fellows and people that went through our program today are in decision-making positions and have seats across many tables. They're working within government, academia, large private sector corporations, top consulting firms. And I can say we are all connected by having been part of the fellowship program. I think we all hold this network very dearly, and that we would all be very happy to still help each other today. I still keep both professional and some personal relationships with some people that I encountered through SDSN Youth. So I think that other than the fact that it helps you grow as a professional from like hard skills and like the technical part, the people that you get to connect with is something that has contributed into my career a lot.
Very nice to hear that, Anna, and thank you for sharing that. And I couldn't agree more about the network that it enables you to connect, the people you're able to meet, and how it helps you to develop in these two pathways, both the technical one, but also the soft skills. Yanis, I would love to hear your reflection as well. What were the most significant outcomes of or what are the most significant outcomes of your experience with SDSN Youth, and how have they contributed to your career in SDGs?
So first things first, hello everyone, and thank you for joining this session. As you heard before, my name is Giannis. I come from Greece, and I'm the regional focal point for Europe. So my career path, if I can say it in this way, in SDSN Youth has begun as Deputy Network Coordinator of SDSN Greece, SDSN Youth Greece. Later as Network Coordinator of SDSN Youth Greece. In the meantime, as Project Officer for External Communications and Advocacy at the SDSN Youth Global. And now as a Regional Focal Point of Europe. So I had a totally different, I saw the development and of this network. At the same time, the network itself from totally different positions and accountabilities, if I can say in this way. So in general, my experience in SDSN Youth has been transformative on both at personal and professional levels. The most significant outcome has been the opportunity to connect with global networks of passionate, action-oriented youth leaders, young leaders, who are driven for driving impact in their communities. Through all of these roles of network coordinator, I think that especially of network coordinator, because you have the opportunity to address and experience the meaning of the localization of the SDGs. I've developed skills in stakeholder engagement, having global roles, had the opportunity to develop the skill of cross-regional collaboration and policy advocacy. All of them are essentials for building a career in sustainability. Additionally, serving, especially as a regional focal point for Europe, has given me a first-hand experience in bridging the gap between grassroots youth initiatives and high-level decision-making forums. This has strengthened my ability to translate local challenges from totally different countries, totally different networks, because in Europe we have the if we can tell challenge and at the same time opportunity that we have national networks and international networks in a way that they are regional, such as SDSN Youth Black Sea, SDSN Youth Mediterranean. In any case, you have the opportunity to translate these local challenges into global discussions and vice versa. A skill that I now apply directly my professional work on sustainability and policy advisor, partnerships, and especially in consulting and business consulting in general. So this is my first view in a way, serving at the SSN here.
Thank you so much, Anis. And it's very nice to hear about how also SDSN Youth help you in your professional path. And I really love how you frame it that you're able to translate those local challenges and local realities into global policies, global discussions, and these global forums. So now talking about leveraging youth networks for action. So how can young people worldwide effectively leverage the work of organizations like SDSN Youth to influence sustainable development at the local, national, and international level? Dong, Real, what's your take from the Korea's networks work and perspective?
Yeah, hi. My name is Kang Dong from SDSN Korea. I'm currently network manager of SDSN Korea, and I was the former network coordinator of SDSN Youth Korea. And in case of SDSN Youth Korea, by the way, I need to find the question. So the question was, yeah. So in case of SDSN Youth Korea, we have more than 5,000 youth activities annually. So it means we started from 2018. It means we have more than 40,000 plus youth activities in nationwide. So currently we had elections. I mean, our president our president was impeached, so we had a new presidential election, and in that circumstance, the politicians, I mean the decision makers who can implement SDGs in legal framework and in local society and central government, they curious about why the youth activities interest in SDGs and why this amount of youth activities they try to fostering SDGs in domestic wide and global wide. So the massive collective impact shows us gave us the power to cultivating the sustainable culture in our country. At the same time, um, we use those kind of those kind of interest to support the youth activities in Korea to bring them bring them to the overseas. For example, UN ASCAP, uh, they hosted the Northeast Asia multi-stakeholder forum on SDGs on every October, and also they hosted the Asian Pacific SDG forum on every February, and we cooperate with some our neighbor countries youth activities like China and Japan, and we made the Northeast Asian SDG youth committees, and we made some youth statement to enhancing SDGs in Northeast Asia and Asia Pacific, and we deliver it to the UN ESCAP and our Minister of Foreign Affairs. Then they felt SDG is urgent and important, so they nowadays they made a routine forum under the National Assembly. So these days we are reflecting the youth voices to achieving SDGs in domestic wide, like using our manpower. I mean our massive massive manpower. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dong, for sharing more about the great work SDSN Korea is doing and how you're able to translate what is happening from these local realities and work with the ministries, the government, and other stakeholders to amplify the impact. That speaks a lot about the importance of collaboration, which is also one of the main pillars of SDSN Youth. So, Amr, I would love to hear from you now and to expand on this from the mentorship perspective. So, how can young people worldwide effectively leverage the work of organizations like SDSN Youth to influence SDGs and sustainable development at the local, national, and international level?
Thank you, Antonio, and hello, everyone. Pleased to be here. Pretty much a pleasure. So regarding this question, as everyone knows, SDSN Youth is a platform where there's a lot of programs and initiatives where one can apply to be part of. But I'd like to zoom out slightly of this perspective because this is, I think, clearly the core of what SDSN Youth is doing. I'd like to highlight that SDSN Youth is not only that, but it's also a role model for amplifying the voices of youth. It's actually a case study, a proven case study that investing in youth is actually working. Investing in youth is influential and has an impact. It's a living evidence that one can refer to when speaking about organizations that invest in youth. It's for that and giving that if anyone wants to take part of this and interact with this, you don't really need to be part of the programs, but throughout your work, wherever you are in the world, and regardless of what you do, if you're employed, if you have a startup or a company, you can still interact with SDSN Youth. You can collaborate, partnership with SDSN Youth. You can refer to them as part of your work. And by that, you can leverage the resources that SDSN Youth provide as part of this international and global network of SDSN Youth. In my experience, it has been this case. So it's not only the programs, but how it is actually a role model for amplifying the voices of youth internationally that one can participate with, whether you're a member of SDSN or not. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amr. And I think this is also a great way to reflect about the importance of investing in youth. As you said, it is influential and has an impact. It's not a nice to have because I think as of now, it still seems as a nice to have for organizations, but it is fundamental to advance, to have real impact, and to influence the overall system. Now, talking about navigating barriers, I would like to know from Yanni's perspective, what are the barriers you encounter when advocating for youth empowerment, and how did you navigate or overcome them? Could you share more also from your regional experience in Europe?
So I think that one of the biggest barriers I've seen in SDF, not only as part of the SDSN Youth, I think that this is the general phenomenon regarding the youth engagement and youth participation is the well-known phenomenon of youth washing, where young people are invited to events, discussions, policy, interactions, but not given really a real decision-making power. Another challenge is the lack of resources, whether it is financial or institutional, to translate these ideas into actions. So, a quick answer, how you navigate this. I'd say that to navigate this, I learned the importance of three things. Building alliances with organizations that truly value youth contribution, demonstrating credibility, which is very important through data and measurable impact, and last but not least, engaging in intergenerational dialogue rather than confrontations. We make more progress when we show that youth are not just future leaders, but capable now and capable in general change makers today. So I think that's a wrap up of the barriers, if I can say it this way.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Janice. I really like these 3 points. You mentioned alliances, credibility, and intergenerational dialogues, which is at the end part of why we are opening these spaces to have this kind of conversation and reflect on how we can progress together rather than fight between each other. Anna, would you like to complement all the points that Yanis have already mentioned from your time leading the Global Fellowship?
Yes, absolutely. So as Yanis mentions, there are many challenges that the youth faces when pushing their initiatives or their ideas. Sometimes youth-led initiatives aren't taken seriously. And I learned that one way to counter that is to run programs like the one that SDSN Youth has. In most cases, all fellows needed was to say that they were part of our program in order to get the meeting that they needed with a potential ally or to get the access to a database that the city hadn't granted them access to. Then being able to introduce their projects under the umbrella of the fellowship program gave them credibility because the program was structured, clear, outcome-driven, and this was able to open them many doors, both locally and internationally. Also, Yanis mentions the lack of funding for projects as one of the biggest challenges. And actually, my team and I knew there were challenges, knew this was one of them, but we thought that one of the ways in which we could help start building the path of solutions was to categorize and analyze what the main challenges were. So in 2020, we published and presented a paper at the Conference for Sustainable Development, at the International Conference for Sustainable Development, where we analyzed data from our fellowship, from our fellows, and we were able to measure and give statistics out on how big these challenges are and which ones are the main ones. And we found that the 4 main ones are the lack of access to, in the following order, decision-making, economic resources, knowledge, and lastly, data. And we followed up in the next year, in 2021, with a paper on how big the challenges were in the global north and in the global south. And not surprisingly, the challenges are steeper in the global south. But we believe that by publishing and giving like a name and a measurement of how big the challenges are can helpfully start paving the way for building solutions. We can state the problem like clearly and like visually for some people. It can help us go out and raise funding and say this is the main issue that we encounter in youth-led projects and so on. So you can look at these papers in the conference websites. It is one that is done in partnership with SDSN as well. So there's that information.
Thank you so much, Anna. And I think this reflects a lot about the importance of measuring the work that we do, which both of you touch base on that you need measures and you need data in order to also showcase the impact we're having as an organization and on the different programs at the end. And there's a very good phrase that says, what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. And the same applies to all the different work we are doing here. So thanks both of you. Now, Anna, are there any specific experiences from your time at SDSN Youth that taught you valuable lessons about working with youth on SDGs and sustainable development? And could you share one that is stuck with you and that you would like to share with the audience?
Yes. Sorry. I thought you said Anna. Go ahead, Anna, please. Mhm.
Thank you. But if you'd like to share first, that's absolutely fine too.
If you want to go ahead, Anna, you're also very welcome.
Maybe just very shortly, I would say that a big one is that talent is talent, and the youth is out there working and have great ideas. I very much value professional trajectories, but a good creative idea can come without prior experience. Youth people kind of have talent, and that is something you do not acquire with age.
Yeah. Can't agree more. If I add to that as well, from my time being a fellow at the Local Pathways Fellowship, which is one of the programs of SDSN Youth, I think one of the main highlights of this program is how it has an enabling environment for youth, where you can actually have a safe space where you can try different ideas, you can discuss them, you can screw up and come back again, you can discuss it with your mentors, with your peers. It's actually the peer support that you can get as part of this program is exceptional, where you can find like-minded people to discuss with them and build ideas on that. It's actually as well how you can be exposed to different issues around the world. This is a network of cities from all over the world, so where you can navigate all of the different issues. So all of that is a combination of an experience that builds your perspective, builds your experience, and gives you a different way of thinking when you tackle sustainability issues in anywhere you're in the world. So this is what actually stayed with me as part of SDSN Youth, that being global is essential because we're in the same boat fighting against the global issues and challenges.
Thank you so much to both. We spoke about talent. We spoke about being on the same boat together. Yanis, any other message you would like to share about any specific lesson that have stuck with you with your time at SDSN Youth?
Hmm. Um, I think that one powerful lesson I've learned came from facilitating collaboration between youth-led organizations across Europe with very different priorities and contexts. So the experience taught me that successful sustainable development efforts rely on three. I don't know if this a magic number. Maybe yes. Rely on three elements: inclusivity, patience, and adaptability. Youth often bring fresh, disruptive ideas, but without creating space for diverse perspectives and co-creation, even the best initiatives struggle because it shows that sustainability is not just about having the right solutions. It's about building coalitions, listening actively, navigating complexity together. So true impact comes from collective action and not isolated efforts.
Thank you so much, Janice, about the importance also of building coalition, and this really ties up with what has been mentioned. Don Real, any specific experiences from your time leveraging the amazing network of SDSN Korea that taught you any valuable lesson that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah. Um, in case of SSN Korea and SSN Youth Korea, we always think about the mainstream of the agenda. I mean, in case of United Nations, they paved the way to connect between the local society and national-wide and regional-wide and global-wide. So in case of United Nations, when they monitoring SDGs, and on every July, the ECOSOC, United Nations ECOSOC, they hosted the HLPF on sustainable development, and they set the 5 core SDGs because 17 SDGs per every year is too much. So they pick up 5 core SDGs, and they persuade to submit the 4-year term voluntary national reviews. So follow up the 5 core SDGs. On October, the ECOSOC have 5 regional commission, right? So in case of Korea, we are the member of UNESCOP, and UNESCOP, they hosting the sub-regional monitoring forum on SDGs on every October, and every February, UNESCO they hosted the regional monitoring forum on SDGs, and every May, our Minister of Foreign Affairs they hosted the national monitoring forum on SDGs. So we SDSN Youth, as a part of the MGOs, the major groups and other stakeholders, we become a part of those kind of conferences. At the same time, we made some youth statement in nationwide, and we bring that kind of youth statement into the forums with other major stakeholders like uh, business and industry sector, and education and academia sector, and women and indigenous people and NGOs and other etc. etc. So we made a solidarity between the SDG players in our domestic wide. So we launched some SDG consortiums in Korea, and then we tried to make some SDG implementation legal framework. So in case of Korean legal system, the highest law is the Framework Act law, and it brings the SDGs as a mandate to our central government and local government at the same time. So we try to make the SDG Framework Act law with those kind of our consortium partners with within the following the United Nations SDG monitoring process. And at the same time, I don't know you remember that on 2021 in Rome there was a G20 summit, and at that moment, traditionally global nations, I mean G7 and G20, they hate United Nations agendas, right? But in 2021, the G20 summit in Rome, they adopt SDGs and carbon neutrality as one of the most important agenda of global nations. And after then, the global nations they created the engagement groups made by 13 entities. It's similar with the United Nations MGOs. So in under the global nations, they also set the Youth 20 and Civil 20, Women 20, Labor 20, etc., etc. So I bring my SDG facilitators into the global nations uh, process. So these days, uh, they officially um, be a part of the SDG monitoring system in domestic wide and global wide, and and the policymakers and local authorities they also interest in this kind of cooperations. So in I mean the goodwill not always brings the good result, but if we have goodwill and passions, and if we aware about the global trends, then it might be boost up our impact in domestic and nationwide and global wide. So please keep focus on the global trends. Yeah. That's all.
Thank you so much, Dongreal. And it ties up really very nice to everything that has been mentioned. So it was mentioned that talent is talent. Young people have the talent, and for that you don't require ages, but you require courage, which that is very important. We need to generate this enabling environment for youth. Being globally is essential because at the end we are all in the same boat. The importance of inclusivity, the importance of building coalitions and working together. And I think you really tie it up very nicely. Have goodwill and be aware of what is happening out there, because that's where we can definitely tie it up with our local, national, and international realities. So we have reflected about our past experiences, the current challenges, but now let's bring the attention to the future. So Anna, how do you envision the youth involvement will change in the upcoming years, and the importance of organizations like SDSN Youth to be part of this upcoming trends that you see of youth involvement?
Well, I think the youth is more and more involved just by the mere pyramid of population that we have. We are many young people out there that are reaching the workforce. And I would say that we need to get as involved as we can as we start to take decision-making roles. Because after all, we will be the ones living with the consequences of the decisions made today for the longest. What happens today will set the road ahead for many more years, and we're the ones that are going to live with that for 50, 60 more years. So I would advise for the youth to like keep working on your projects. I mean, I know you're out there, you're working, you have the ideas and the passion for making a better future for us. And I would also say to leverage networks, to leverage platforms like SDSN Youth that are creating a space for you and that are helping you either give a structure to your project or provide you with a platform or connect you with a potential ally or give you the visibility that you need. There are many programs with the SDSN Youth that can help you with different items that you might need.
Thank you so much, Anna. Coming back to you, Dongreal, I would like to know a little bit more about how do you see the youth involvement evolving in the international space, and the importance of organizations like SDSN Youth to achieve this?
Well, I think I'm repeating similar agenda, but bring the government into your space. I mean, they have budget and they have spaces and they have authority to bring you into some governmental events or intergovernmental events. So in case of us, we not only focus on SDGs and carbon neutrality, but also we also consider about our governmental policies. For example, in case of Korea, when our new president elected, then he or she should announce 5 years plan for his government, and every governors are same, and they also create they also should create 20 years plan for SDGs, for sustainability, but these days are SDGs. Anyway, so we bring those kind of our governmental agenda and governmental missions into our field. So when we bring when our government feeling like, oh, these youth activists, they are not just doing what they want, also, but also they are also consider about our governmental missions, governmental problems also. So aligning SDGs and governmental policies, that makes you more budget and that makes you more opportunity to bring you aboard or bring you in domestic any domestic ways, and it can amplify your voices. So I think that is one of my words.
Thank you so much, Unreal. And we have heard this very nice perspectives. First of all, from Anna, that we will be the generation living with this decision. So it's more than important that we are part of the conversations and the spaces. And also, really complementing what you said, Dongreal, we will not achieve this if the government and obviously the rest of stakeholders, but especially governments, are within the same table as us. And the importance of aligning all the different efforts with the SDGs, both the short, the medium, and the long term plans. So to wrap up this first section, I would like to ask each one of our panelists from today one piece of advice or a call to action for the next generation of young leaders that are out there and that want to make a change, maybe don't know why, or maybe they are doing it. And from your experiences at SDSN Youth, what is this one piece of advice or call to action that you could give to them? Yanis, we can start with you.
So my advice is simple. Be unapologetically ambitious, but strategically collaborative. What do I mean with this? Like a poem. It sounds like a poem. That sustainability change challenges are not just are systemic, and this means that no single person or organization can solve them alone. Use your voice, your expertise, and your networks, but also seek partnerships, mentorships, and cross-sector alliances. Because finally, don't wait for permission to lead. Start small, act locally, learn fast, and connect your initiative to broader movements like SDSN Youth, like this platform of SDSN Youth. Leadership in sustainability is not about having all the answers, but about being courageous enough to create despite uncertainty. That's the charming, if I can say it this way, thing of sustainable development in general.
Thank you so much, Yanis. And definitely, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And especially when we speak about youth empowerment and youth involvement, we need to knock on a lot of the doors. And a lot of the times, we need to build the doors, we need to open for ourselves, and then also for the next generations. Ahmed, from your side, what will be one piece of advice or a call to action for the next generation of young leaders?
Well, there might be many. Maybe I would say consistent small steps make impact. Because as Yanis has mentioned, you might not have all the answers. And in the realm of there's so many issues we're dealing with globally, and especially when it comes to sustainable development. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed of where to start and what to do. So my answer, my advice is start as small as possible from your home, your neighborhood, your city, and then you can grow. Don't underestimate your small steps. It will lead to impact eventually. Just be consistent with it. That's it.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Amma. I will also love to hear in the chat. So, for all of our attendees, if there is any piece of advice or any call to action that you would like to make for young leaders, it will be very appreciated. Anna, from your side, any piece of advice, anything you would like to share about something you feel is needed to say to the next generation of young leaders?
Well, I think maybe complementing what Amir said, on your projects, you can also lean on to others, like other than like keep working on it and working on it consistently, also lean on others and build with others. If you put your ideas out there, you will find that there are other people also wanting to put the issue that you have at the center forward. So look for partners, look for allies. You don't have to do everything yourself, and there are networks or organizations that might be able to help you. So look out for them, and in the case that you don't find them, keep working on it, and you will be the leader in that space that people will look for when they're looking for a partner. But we're usually not alone in solving the issues that we want to solve. There are many other people that could be a great asset for your project, and to make it a bigger, to make a bigger impact. Working with others and working in community will carry you further than you think.
Very nice to hear that, Anna, and I think it ties up very nicely. So we have heard about the importance of being unapologetically ambitious from Yanis, the importance of consistency to Ama, the importance of collaboration and leaning to each other. Done real, what is one piece of advice or call to action from your side?
Be patient. I mean, I'm joining SDSN in 8 years, and I started this kind of agenda since 2012, and at that moment there was no SDGs. In that moment there was MDGs, and I was like one of my dream was creating the framework X law on SDGs to make our government do SDGs mandate, but it spends 9 years. So if I quit in seventh year or eighth year, I cannot make it. But I struggle with 9 years. Then finally I made the law for the SDGs. So the loom do not build in a day, right? So you should be patient, right? Yeah. Keep calm and carry on. Yeah, that is my tip.
Thank you so much, Unreal. And it's very important, I think, right now. Patience is something that is very needed, especially when we work in the youth arena and the youth space, because progress takes time. It takes, yes, it takes decades, as we have seen. And sometimes our generation might not be able to see the results of this work that we're doing right now. But the importance is that we are opening the doors for the next generations as well. So now we thank you so much to our speakers. Now we want to open the floor to you, the audience. If you have any questions or reflections, please raise your hand or use the chat, and we will do our best to bring you into the conversation. We already have some questions in place, so if there is any other question, please start bringing them in the chat. A question from Irene. From your experience, what strategies have been most effective in getting adults, especially those in power, to not just include youth symbolically, but to engage meaningfully and act on their ideas? I would like to first give the floor to Dong Real, based on your experience, especially working with the governments from your country. What is some strategies that you could share with the audience?
Well, I think I already answered the question. Just uh be be a friend or be a friend with your government. But sometimes when your government do not interested in SDGs, you should bring more your partners and attack your president or National Assembly members. Then make SDG popular in positive way or negative way. But when SDG be popular in your country, the civilians, the people, they must understand this is the good one and this is the essence of the future. So they will involve in your campaign and movement. And also, you should use the social media wisely. So I mean, not I'm not I'm not gonna persuade you to create more card news or video clips. I mean, in case of Korea, we use the chatting room to deliver the information and event, and sometimes the hiring opportunity in the chatting room. That then I think, yeah,
Thank you so much, Daniela.
yeah,
Yeah, as you said, the importance of making these topics accessible to people, attractive to them, because at the end there is obviously this social pressure we can have with our governments that they take action as well based on this social pressure and the social agenda. Anna, from your experience, what strategies have been most effective in getting adults, especially those in power, to not just include you symbolically, but to engage meaningfully and act on their ideas?
Well, I think for the Local Pathways Fellowship Program, which is a program that works in city solutions, it is very important for us to connect with government in order for the solutions to have a real impact. So we have many modules that focus on helping the fellows connect with their government. And something that we've heard throughout many cohorts is that being part of the fellowship that runs under the umbrella of an international organization like SDSN Youth gives them a lot of credibility and validation and opens them the door. So if you can look for an ally that can support your project, it is way easier for a government to listen and to hear your ideas. Let's say I remember one example of one of the fellows in the first few cohorts that she had reached out to her government to present an idea on gender equality and how to achieve more gender equality inclusion in her city in, let's say, public transportation and public spaces, and they hadn't even replied to her. She joined the Local Pathways Fellowship Program and then reached out again saying, hey, I have a project that is part of the Local Pathways Fellowship that I would like to present to you. And then they were like, okay, let's listen to what you have to say. They ended up giving her the funding to run her project. And then once the project was done, they hired her full-time at the government to run gender equality programs for the city. So I think that is one example of what happened or what happens when you have the validation of a partner or of an organization and you don't show up just like yourself, like as an individual working on this alone. So that's what I mean on what I said earlier about community and to build with others.
Very nice to hear, Anna, and it's very empowering. This is a very nice story that you are sharing with us, and the importance, once again, of collaboration. This is not a matter of them and us; it's a matter of a we. Don Real, I see your hand raised. You want to bring any experience or any additional points?
yeah. I missed the thing. I would like to introduce the fund from the private sector. I'm sure you heard about the Patagonia. Have you ever heard about Patagonia? The t-shirt and outdoor, yeah.
Yes.
Patagonia has the fund, which its name is 1% for the planet. And when you bring your project to Patagonia, you can easily get some fund from Patagonia. And it was quite useful. So these days they always funded us. So you should try to bring some budget from Patagonia. Yeah. Sorry
Thank
to
you, Don.
interrupt.
Thank you, Don Real, for sharing this. And yes, at the end, it's important because we were mentioning one of the barriers is the funding. So thank you so much for sharing this great resources for young organizations and individuals to get some funding in place. At the end, collaboration is key, including from the private sector. Now, a question from Isma. Being global is essential, but how can we make the youth of developing countries engage more, because they are the ones most of the time left out or not being heard properly? Amer, from your experience, how can we make the youth of developing countries engage more in the conversations?
That's a very accurate comment from Isma. Honestly, usually this is the case, and it's not only that, but least developed countries are also suffering most from climate change impacts and the impacts of um, um, global warming. So, how do we make sure that they are heard through platforms like this? Through the different programs and projects that we're running, we make sure that we be inclusive in our programs and how we design them. We don't only look at those best achievers in the more developed countries, but we have spaces for those who are coming from the south or the east or anywhere in the world. This network is actually how we become more resilient as a global network and as in creating more sustainable solutions. So for sure, us being inclusive in our work, us being inclusive in our programs, projects, wherever we are, is the key to bringing in the voices of those who are less heard, from those who are marginalized communities or living somewhere else in the world.
Thank you so much, Amber, about the importance of also ensuring we as youth organizations and individuals, we foster this inclusivity, because at the end is part of it. If we want to see a change in the system, we also need to start by the work we're all doing as part of youth organizations. Yanis, once again for you the question, being global is essential, but how can we make the youth of developing countries engage more, because they're the ones most of the time left behind or not being heard properly?
So, to be honest, this is one of the most pressing challenges we face in youth engagement today, ensuring that voices from developed countries are not just invited, but truly heard and acted upon. So, from my experience as a SDSN Youth, I think that there are some approaches that are key to making this happen. First things first, remove barriers to access. Often, youth in development countries are excluded because opportunities are tied to funding, language, or technology gaps. We need to design programs that are accessible, offering scholarships, translations, offline participation options, and resources that level the playing field. Second, let's say that we have to shift from consultation to co-creation. Too often, those in developing regions are asked for input after decisions are nearly finalized. Instead, they must be co-designers of solutions from the start. Initiatives like SDSN Youth Regional Hubs create localized platforms where young leaders can set their own priorities and bring them to global forums. Last but not least, we have to build local to global pipelines. What do I mean? I mean that change doesn't always start in international conferences. It often begins in community-driven projects. If we invest more in strengthening grassroots youth initiatives and then connect them to national and even UN level discussions, their impact and their voices becomes impossible to ignore. So ultimately, empowering youth from developed countries is not a charity, and allow me to say it like this: it's smart leadership. They experience the front lines of many global crises, from climate disasters to poverty, and their insights are essential building solutions that actually work from everyone.
Thank you so much, Yanis. Um, and all these key messages that you are sharing that really complement what Amer was also mentioning about the importance, once again, of creation, not only consultation, invest in grassroots projects, and this idea of smart leadership, being very smart about how also we engage and we collaborate between regions to being able to amplify the voices of all of us. Now, this is a question that I would like to pose to all of you, and I think it's a great way to finalize this dialogue. With everything happening in the world today, how do you stay hopeful? In what role does youth engagement play in keeping that hope alive and pushing for change? Anna, I think we can start with you.
Yeah, I think one way to remain hopeful is seeing how others who are even younger than us are hopeful. I think it is a great engine seeing how we are not the last to come, but to see that there are many behind us. So not only working for ourselves, but for the ones to come, I think it's something that I look very much forward to.
Thank you so much, Anna. Amer, what, with everything happening in the world today, how do you stay hopeful?
Um, that's a difficult question. I'm not sure why you left it to the end, but I would say by seeing youth taking action first, with all the challenges that we're facing in today's world, um, we always see that youth are the first to speak up, to march, to say that there's something wrong. And this brings hope to me that actually what's coming next is going to be positive. There's going to be change coming, and there's hope in the next generation. This is what keeps me hopeful because otherwise you'd go say in today's world.
Definitely, Amma. Don Rio, how do you stay hopeful? In what role does youth engagement play in keeping that hope alive and pushing for change?
Well, actually, I spent 2 years in Marine. You know, every Korean guy should go to the military service. And when I in a drill, I was quite painful. But our instructor said, if you can't escape it, embrace it. So we are doomed. We don't need to be hopeful. You should just do the SDG because you have to do. Yeah, we are doomed, but we should do SDG because we would like to postpone the doomsday. So yeah, if you feel sad, just feel sad and just express your sadness to your friends and just keep going. You don't need to be emotionally. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Don Rio. And last but definitely not least, Yanis, how do you stay hopeful?
Um, I stay hopeful because every day I see young people refusing to accept the status quo, despite the challenges we face, as we mentioned before, all of us, climate change, inequality, conflicts. Youth across the globe are providing that leadership doesn't come from age, it comes from courage and vision. Through SDSN Youth, I've witnessed ideas from students, activists, and young professionals turning into real, scalable solutions for sustainable development. So that's what keeps my optimism grounded in actions and not just words. And why this is important? Because youth engagement plays a critical role in sustaining that hope, because it transforms frustrations and agency. When young people are given the tools, the networks, and the decision-making space to shape the future, hope stops being abstract. It becomes a shared responsibility and, let me say, a catalyst for change. So for me, hope is not just a feeling, it's a strategy. And empowering youth globally is one of the most effective strategies. We have to keep pushing for meaningful and lasting change.
Thank you so much, Yanis. And we heard a lot of different ideas um, from Anna about see how others younger than us are hopeful, not only work for ourselves, but for the ones to come. How Amma was mentioning, thinking more about the future, thinking that what is coming is going to be positive, don't real. If you can't escape it, embrace it. And finally, from Yanis, the importance of youth engagement to maintain this hopefulness and to transform the future, and how youth can be a catalyst for change. And we have heard a lot of different ideas today, but I think this is very important to remain hopeful and consider all of this that was mentioned to maintain that hopefulness alive, especially in these times. So before closing, we want to take a picture to remember this great celebration. So I'm gonna ask all our attendees to please turn on your camera just for 1 minute or less, just for the question, just for the photo. Looking pretty, looking good. Come on, smile. It's quiet in the morning, afternoon, evening, but let's enjoy. Talking about hopefulness, I see more cameras turning on. Let's see how many we can get. It's gonna be only very few seconds, so let's see. Okay, I see most of them coming alive. So let's take it at 1, 2,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
3, smile. All good, Raquel? Yes, we got it. Amazing. Perfect. So, well, today's dialogue was more than a reflection. It was a celebration for the hundreds of young people who have walked through the doors of SDSN Youth across the years, and of the powerful ideas, friendships, and legacies they have left behind or they are still constructing as part of this great community. We have heard stories of impact that travel from the local and the national levels to the international arena. And we have shared lessons forged through experience. And above all, we have seen the incredible power of intergenerational collaboration, of bringing these conversations to life, and definitely of opening the floor for different points of view to come across. So let's carry this legacy forward, not as something in the past, but as a foundation for the next decade of youth action. Because when youth lead, the world doesn't just change, as Yanni says, it transforms. So thank you to all our panelists, our audience, and to every young person who has contributed to SDSN Youth Mission over the past 10 years. It has been a great decade, and here is for a decade of impact, but there's many more to come. So thanks everyone for being part of this amazing story. This story has been built because of each one of you, and we are definitely looking forward to see you more engaged and more of being part of this great community of SDSN Youth. So thank you once again for your time today, and please keep engaged with us. There's more events coming, there's more initiatives coming, so we'll keep you posted. But thank you once again for being part of this story.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. It's great to see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.